And I think we're live. I feel live too. Do you feel live?
I feel very live.
Heidi ho, guys and gals. Welcome to the Sunday Night Tool Talk live stream. And we're starting a bit early due to some scheduling conflicts. Sorry about that. I know I would say short notice, but it was basically no notice.
No notice. But
No
we're
notice.
here.
But we're here.
Ta-da!
We're gonna do 5 to about 7. The kids are doing this thing at Awana's tonight, and she's gonna have to rush out and pick them up around 6. So anyway, so we thought we'd just slide everything forward. I know a lot of people. It's gonna bum out a lot of people, and I'm sorry, but family. We gotta be flexible about that sort of thing. Also, I want to point out this is not my soda.
No, your soda you
My
took.
soda's over there.
Over there. This is mine, which is
Stop trying to swap out sodas and steal my soda. You see how she is?
Do you see what I'm working with over here, people?
Not really. No.
He's mine. By the way, all mine.
I
Can't have him.
All hers. Anyway. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I needed that.
Hey, Frank says first like.
Brad says he's likely, or she's likely, to forget about this. I almost did. Frank says first like. Futon 2 says, evening everyone. Gabagool says, yo Bear, I got that Kazumon Impact socket and recommendation. So far so good. I'll be honest, these days, it's hard to really screw up. You got to go uber cheap if you want to screw up an impact socket set, because the tech out there has been, everyone's stolen from everyone else. And I got to do a video on that. A lot of people, there's a whole trend of, you got to support the people who came out with the design originally. You can't support a company that stole a design. I'm like, everyone in the tool, that is the tool industry. There is no tool company that is without sin. They've all stolen from each other. And I think impact sockets are at the top of that, because anybody can make a decent impact socket these days. I think the Labradog's coming out with her own set. Nice ears, by the way.
Thank you.
Very fuzzy. So yeah, it's one of those kind of days. Neil F is in the house. Nutty Iron is in the house. Nutty Iron. That is, sounds like a tooth cruncher if I ever heard one. Anyway, well, we got just a few people here. I do want to talk about something real quick. This week there's going to be an Olight sale, and there is going to be lights and stuff. But they finally sent over one of their O knives for review here. And hold on, let me switch over so I can actually see what I'm talking about, or as I'm showing it to make sure it's showing up on the screen. So this is one of their O knives, and I'm going to tell you right now, since you're all here, I'm going to give you a first look. This is my favorite design of knife. I love the flippers like this. This one, as you see, it didn't flip very well. It's so heavy. The blade feels heavy coming out of it. It's a cool look. It uses that new copper look that they've got that I love on a lot of their stuff. It's almost like a rose gold. I like it. I do. I like the design. I like everything about it, except for the fact it feels like it weighs 50 pounds.
I think it's super cool.
This is the one I use every day. I don't even remember the name of the company who makes this. I use it for cooking. What's the name of that?
You don't. Yep. Give it to me.
Yeah, I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah. Rookie?
Oh, there's my glasses. All right, give it to me. You don't have your glasses on.
I don't.
Why am I relying on you?
Nutty Iron says, I'm a welder and a blacksmith, and my wife tells me I'm a nut. Super awesome. Super awesome. The kids learned a little bit about blacksmithing this summer, and got to make a few things, so they think all blacksmiths are super awesome.
Yeah.
And Kirk says, Accidental Tools, good evening, Bears.
Good evening. So real quick, this is made by CM Designs. I think it's called Kuhey, Kuhey. I don't know if I can focus on that.
I think if you
Probably
stop
not.
moving it,
You don't know.
you're not the boss of me. Yeah.
No. Anyway,
maybe
we're
not.
going to give a... I've talked about it before. It's got like a G10 style handle. It's a front flipper kind of thing, which is weird. You got to really develop the knack for it. I wish it was a regular standard flipper, but I will never carry this. It's pretty. It's you can have it. Look, it even came with a case, which is something that like there's not like a belt loop or it's just a case. There was a polishing cloth in it. Even has a little
I actually
pocket.
like
It's all yours.
it. No, I just mean like, again, he and I don't always agree on everything.
Do you like the heft of it?
I do.
I like really light things because, well, I'm always looking at it as an EDC thing, things I'm going to carry with me.
Yeah.
And the more stuff I carry with me, the less I like it. Like I've got.
I don't like light stuff because I feel like I forget things, and if it's light, then I won't know I have it with me.
I just pat my pockets. See, I've got this one which I've had for years. This is one I bought myself. It's a CRKT. It's a cricket. What is it? Something River, Colorado River. I don't know what it is. And it's got the kind of you do it like that on it. And this thing weighs a metric ton. And I never carry it. It lives at my desk. What do you think about that comparatively?
I feel like this is a little heavy, but the other one that I carry in my purse is heavy. It's really heavy. So I would probably like this. I'll be honest, I don't like the lighter ones personally. It kind of reminds me of the firearm that I didn't care for. That I guess we won't talk about, but
yeah. All right. Who else has showed up? The official chew the meat and spit out the bones from South Dakota. Oh my gosh. So I cooked up. I did a. This is why I keep telling people you got to follow us on TikTok and Instagram because we do a lot of the behind the scenes family kind of stuff and some of the cooking I've been doing. And I got a new pellet grill and I did a pork shoulder, but we did as an experiment. I did a 24-hour low and slow cook on the pork shoulder, and it came out pretty good. It's not the best, wasn't the best pork shoulder I've ever had. We had a big temperature swing. It rained and such while we were doing the cook, but it came out good enough. But the bone out of it, I decided to give it to the dog, and oh my gosh, she was in hog heaven.
She literally was like, "This is the best thing ever."
She would sit there and chew on it, giving us the side eye like, "This is mine, right? You're not going to try and take it away."
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who else is here? Chance Harmon says, "Made it for live." Ralph Henderson says, "Hello, Den." Matt Wallach says, "Drink every time he says tool." Kirk says, "Good evening, Bears." Dr. Falcon says, "Hey, all, just back from a car show in Kentucky. Really? Hope y'all are doing well. I miss Kentucky." Futon says, "Dr. Falcon, good video posted on Mo Party." Neil says, check out the Benchmade bug out if you're in the later lives. I actually have a Benchmade somewhere, and it's a great one. It's got the G10, it's the flipper style, it's got the Axis thing on it. It's a great knife, and since we moved up here, I haven't seen it.
Why is he looking at me? What
because
is that about?
I don't always lose things, but when I do, it's because I've clearly someone's misplaced it, picked it up, and moved it somewhere.
What? You like my ears? They're beautiful. I hear you. That may or may not be an accurate statement, but I'm not here to point fingers.
Let's see here. What's your favorite camping axe? Estwing. It's not the most classic kind of one out there. I mean, they do have the older school kind of classic ones. A wood hatchet and stuff like that is great, but I like the if we're going for an axe over a hatchet, I like the Estwing axe. It is just, I'm kind of a fanboy for Estwing, I'll be honest. When I was a carpenter, construction, we wore a lot of hats back in the day. Estwing was what I started out with hammers. When I bought my first tools, my boss convinced me to get an Estwing, and I've never looked back. And so, yeah, I kind of have a tendency to just knee-jerk reaction go, oh, I'll get the Estwing. So, if you're not budget, man, the Harbor Freight ones are not bad. Just do your own geometry on the axe head. Don't use what it ships with. That's the only thing I'll say about that. The replacing the kitchen floor and keep talking. I'm listening. That's a job. We gotta do that at some point. We put we put whatchamacallit in, laminate. But we're gonna totally redo the kitchen, and I think when we redo the kitchen, I want to put a different color in.
I like how we're discussing this right now live.
I want to make it lighter, not super light, just lighter.
Well, I go back and forth because I love what's in there because I have nostalgia, like because it's been there for as long as I can remember, but it's not functional.
No.
So I'm fine with it being lighter.
Okay. It's just that part of the house is north facing, so it doesn't get as much natural light. And hold on just a second here. What is this? Sorry, go ahead and read some stuff here.
Evolved from Earth says, this is Levick. Still not seeing my comments from Levick11. No, not seeing any comments. I noticed your comment earlier and I looked. I have not seen anything. So no, that's not coming through.
What did not come through?
It says, Evolved from Earth says, this is Levick. Still not seeing my comment from Levick11.
No.
So I think they're posting from their other account, not seeing it. And so they're posting from another account. So not seeing it.
You keep reading. Maybe one of the mods accidentally banned them.
Perhaps.
That can happen when people are clicking on stuff and things are moving. It can accidentally happen. So.
Thomas says, love my pellet grill.
Yeah.
The Tank says, hey, y'all, did y'all check out this weekend's special at Harbor Freight? We sold out of 3/6 free items in store. I worked this weekend. Wow. Was it like hot mess there? Evolved from Earth says, wow, that's pretty sad. I come on with this account. Well, we're looking at it, bud. Wings and Pizza says, do you like the taste of bear meat?
No, I don't eat predators.
I see so
Except
many
for
mixed
fish.
reviews. I have never had bear. I'm trying to think. I believe that I've never had bear.
Yeah, I have a thing about specifically mammals. And probably birds also, that I don't eat predators. It's, I don't know, professional courtesy.
Corey says, the only knife you'll ever find in my pocket, in a pocket of mine, is a case peanut. Chew the meat and spit out the bone says, I love my Benchmade infidel. Thanks for confirming my intuition on the Est-Wing. You are welcome. Evolved from Earth says, I got up this morning getting ready for a car meet. My Mustang was acting up and all of a sudden it died. 0 power. Hot wired it back to garage. 0 power to ignition key. Missed show. Oh, man.
Oh.
That super sucks. Hey, Didiz says, greetings. I'm glad you're both
Greetings.
here at the same time. Thank you so much. Speaking of that, let's not forget to get our children.
Yeah.
So maybe I should set an alarm for 30 minutes. Set an alarm for 30 minutes. Okay. Neil says, speaking of bands, any idea why my post was deleted in the Facebook group? I love the group, but
what was the post about?
Neil F, I think you know our email. You can either put it in here or send us an email. Futano2 says, bear meat is really greasy. It's with 11. It's got a 1 after it.
Yeah, but it would still find the rest of it.
Yeah. So I have heard that about bear meat, that it is very greasy, which to me would probably be a turnoff if I was interested in eating it.
And if you don't cook it right, it'll give you trichinosis.
Well, yes, that's true.
Levick, you are not on the banned list. I just exported the whole thing and did a search on it, and it's not there.
So it could be something on Facebook's, not Facebook, on YouTube side. There are a lot of funky things that they do, but it looks like it's not something that we can see on our end.
Nope.
The Tank says the LTC, you should get 1 of 6 items for free with a purchase over $50. Non-ITC, you could get it for $5. We sold out of our wobble extension.
You're
Hello?
off camera.
Hi. I was talking.
You were half off camera.
Nobody cares. They just want to
They're
see
not here to
half
see
of
me.
furry ears. They sold out of our wobble extension sets, drill bit sets, and 50-cent Cal ammo cans. Yes, not 50 cents.
I'm like, there were 50 cents.
I'm tired.
I gotta go. I gotta run to.
50 Cal ammo cans. Those are really cool cans.
They are. I use them for all sorts of stuff.
Evolved from Earth says dove hunting is cool.
Yeah.
Eric Olson says cooking chicken drummies on my pit boss right now. Had it for 5 or 6 years, still growing strong. Using it at least 2 or 3 times a week. I have a question for everyone who uses their grill and or pellet smoker. What is your favorite thing to make on it? Go. Carry on.
Honestly, steak.
I was asking.
Well, I thought I'd answer with him. I was just going to say, I've been looking all over for a lever action 410. Henry makes one. And the only place around here that has it is Walmart.
Huh.
And I always like to support my local, my LGS, and I'm going to have... But the problem at Walmart is they only have the Golden Boy, and I don't like the shiny ones, so...
Okay. Paul K. says, what kind of hatchet did the guy use in the viral video from NYC? I have no idea.
That was like your super cheap Kmart, basic hatchet. I think Harbor Freight's got one like that, too.
Michael says, hi kids, greetings. On the day, what is news? Well, everything.
Oh, did I tell everyone last week that I bought that Winchester 88? I think I did.
Yeah. So that happened.
That happened.
That
And I bought a new grill. I got the Laredo, so we talked about that.
Yep. It makes delicious things.
Yes, it does.
Mark Olson. Oh, no. Wings and Pizza says, oh, you're talking to Futono too. Mark Olson says, good evening, Tool Bears. Michael Thornton says, at the Den of Tools, what do you think of the new Cobalt tools? Will you be doing any review videos soon?
I probably will not be doing any review videos soon, simply because we're about to head down to Vegas. So I'm in the mode of trying to... Oh, it is such a mess. So there was a shop that I was supposed to be moving into by the end of June.
Yeah.
Then there was some pushback,
September.
and then it was going to be the end of July. Then it was going to be the 1st of August, then the end of August. Then, okay, it's going to be next week. I don't think it's going to happen before we move.
You mean before we go back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep saying move, but it's... So anyway, we're headed back to Vegas, and we're going to be down there in the Vegas area for... at least I will, for October and November. And then I got to be back here for shoulder season. Elk. And then... and I might come up for a week in the middle of it. I'm going to snag the boys and come up for a week for some deer hunting.
Okay. There's also a rodeo thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I was just going to read something. Oh, my workshop says, I have eaten elephant. I have not eaten elephant.
I've had elephant ears.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
This one's mine. I have not eaten elephant at all. Love the Bike says thoughts on Rikon bandsaws.
They're excellent. Rikon makes really good tools. I'm a fan of them. I put them... Rikon and Laguna are basically in the same kind of area. Laguna, I think... I don't know. Laguna... I think they're right in the same area. They're not to the level of some of the super high-end stuff, but they're definitely better than the prosumer grade. They got good tools. I wouldn't mind having one.
My workshop says was great. I'm assuming you mean about eating elephant. Neil F says he'll send an email shortly. Kirk says, bear meat is pretty good. It depends on who prepares it and how it's prepared. I kind of think that that's true for almost anything. I mean, chicken's amazing.
I don't think anybody can make Brussels sprouts good.
You know, Brussels sprouts are amazing.
The devil's tiny cabbages.
Nope. They're delicious. Especially if you, like, I've been watching this one where you, like, put them on the pan with salt and pepper and a little bit of oil. And then you put the grill, like, that you put the bacon on top and then the bacon drippings. It's going to be amazing.
Are you talking about old socks? Because it would taste the same.
Oh, my gosh. Anyways, I will eat his Brussels sprouts.
Hey, Family Channel.
I love you.
This woman. Anyway. Futon2 says, I wasn't able to post at first. I had to shut down YouTube, come back in, and then I was able to post. Yeah, YouTube's like that sometimes. Adam says, hello from the Petro in Sparks, Nevada. Oh, Sparks, Nevada's a cool little town. I like the Reno area. It's especially the downtown area when they put in the new water park kind of area down there. That's a lot of fun to take the family down to. Do you like watching WWE? No, I'm not a pro wrestler. I'm a UFC wrestler, that kind of wrestling, not WWE. The wood smoker, how about using hemlock? Hard pass.
That's negative.
Eric says steak and burgers. And the tank says the Bauer 10-inch miter saw is on clearance at my store. Have you seen anything about it? What are your thoughts on it? My understanding was that that they're going to be replacing the manufacturer on it. They're switching to a different provider due to, I don't know, some sort of contract thing. I don't know. Dr. Dab says Bud's Guns. Yeah, I'd really prefer to buy something used. It's just so hard these days. Waiting on the Fireboard 2 to tell me my Boston cut is ready. And chicken thighs.
Chance was talking about the brisket on the smoker is the best. Costco has prime briskets for the same price as anywhere else's choice grade. My fiance isn't a fan though, so I end up eating the whole thing.
I'm not a huge fan of brisket. The only part of the brisket I like is burnt ends. Do you want me to make brisket for you?
No, because I'm having so much tummy issues. It wouldn't be worth it. Like if we were having a party or we were going to do something. What in the thunder?
Well, here, problem is we just heard a noise here, and we can't tell whether it's thunder or whether it's the train yard. But it seemed to go on awful long to be the train yard.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything saying that it's going to rain. Well, that's not what it's telling me.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's supposed to get down in the 40s tonight.
Yes, I did see. It doesn't look like it's freezing for the next week or so, though.
Damn Cobalt needs to send you the tools ASAP. Yes, they do. But, the fact of the matter is, I just don't have time right now. With the stuff that we have and the stuff I have to get done.
Wings and Pizza says chicken thighs. I think chicken thighs I think they're kind of underrated.
They're way underrated. Nice and juicy and tasty. And chicken, the best thing about cooking chicken is it takes on the flavor of whatever you put on it. So, but you know what? The other thing is that one of the reasons pulled pork is definitely, or pork shoulder, is probably my second favorite one because you could do so many things with pulled pork. A lot of times, actually, don't say a lot of times. I say usually when I make pulled pork, I don't go super heavy with the spices. I'll do a heavy garlic, salt, and pepper, and then a light kind of generic spice on the whole thing to add, really boost the flavor up. But then that way I can take it and I can put some barbecue sauce on it and have barbecue sliders, put in some mac and cheese. We can then take some of it, mix it in with some Mexican spices and do tacos and stuff. There's all sorts of things you can do with
I like it when
pulled pork.
Doesn't have a really strong flavor profile because I find that people want to do so many different things with it. Mm-hmm. When you bring it and it doesn't have a sauce on it, I personally prefer it because some people don't like any sauce. Some people like, whatever. They can pick their own sauce. But that's just me.
One thing I will say with pulled pork that I like doing is after you pull it, you get it all shredded, let it dry out a little bit, and then take a flame to it and add a char, a little bit of crispiness to the entire thing, and it adds a really good bite texture to it.
Michael says we have 2 thunderstorms bracketing Livingston, southwest and southeast.
The steak ribs, doing a brisket tomorrow. Leg of lamb, that sounds good. Gio says, for vintage tool restoration, would you get an M12 rotary tool or an M12 die grinder? It would depend on the tool. If it's more detailed kind of stuff, like it's an old wrench with a raised panel or recessed panel, like say an old crescent wrench, you got to get in there. You're going to want a rotary tool for that to get in all those little nooks and crannies. If it's a bigger, like you're doing an axe or something, you're probably going to be better off with the die grinder. Yeah.
Everyone is hating on Brussels sprouts.
They're terrible.
That's right. Brussels sprouts roasted with balsamic is good. You're right. They're amazing. Everyone else is like, preach, brother, Brussels are terrible.
You could make Brussels sprouts palatable if you boiled them in holy water. They're just wrong.
They're delicious.
Oh. Di says, started a new hobby, magnet fishing. After 3 days, still haven't caught a magnet. Wrong bait. Doug says, might go to your favorite LGS and see if they can order the 410. They can. I've been trying to not buy stuff new for obvious reasons. So, when I moved out of California, I sold everything that I owned at the time. Either sold it in California, most of it in California, or some of it after we moved. And I sold it all through local gun shops and stuff to make sure that it was tracked that I'd gotten rid of it. And now I'm buying stuff locally and privately. The Preach Brother, Brussels sprouts are terrible. Yep. Brussels sprouts are awful. Brussels sprouts were created by the devil. I think we've got a consensus there.
I told you. People are hating tonight.
Ashapa says, has anyone heard from Client Graphics lately? I've not heard from Chris in forever.
Whoa,
I pinged him last year, I think it was, and asked him if he was planning to go to SEMA, which is I met him at SEMA 3 years ago, and then we had the break for the pandemic and everything. So I said, hey brother, are you going this year? Never heard back. So my guess is he just got busy. You know, he's got a full-time job, and YouTube was always kind of a hobby for him, and he put a lot of money into it. And I think he put a lot of money and a lot of time invested into it, and got a lot of negative feedback for the stuff he was doing. Probably just figured. I know a lot of people who just get really put off by the negativity, especially, and it's weird. So I went through all that, and when I was a smaller channel, when we hit like 20,000, all of a sudden, just got all this YouTube drama and stuff directed at me. People trying to tell me that I was disabled. People trying to tell me that I'd never worked in the trades. People trying to tell me that, you can't review mechanics tools unless you're a mechanic. You can't review carpenter's tools unless you're a carpenter. And it was just ridiculous. And, I tried to stay out of it as much as possible and shut down some of the rampant kind of, gossiping. I mean, seeing guys gossip like that, it's just ridiculous. And I could totally see Chris being like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's super draining.
Anyway, I was saying, but the weird thing is, once you get to be a bigger channel, all that stops. Or at least it did for us.
Yeah.
Kids, that's the thunderstorms. Yeah. Neil says, email, say thank you. Howdy from Sacramento. How's the smoke out? You're not dealing with the smoke, right? Because that mosquito fire's, I think, just east of Sacramento. So I think all the smoke's going west. Sorry, we have a skylight, and I'm looking up because it's raining on the skylight. And my phone says, mostly cloudy. Doesn't say squat about rain.
I told you.
I hate iPhone. I hate iPhone with a passion. I just uploaded or upgraded to iOS 16. It's pretty much worthless.
Well, if you go to mine.
Well, you actually went. Oh, that's Google.
Yeah.
See, that's why you went to Chrome into Google and looked at Google's weather, and it's got it accurate. Oh, all right. When it sounds like thunder around here, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's usually Fort Campbell practicing with their big boom boom. And James says, I'm Texan. We don't cook with barbecue sauce. You add it afterwards if you want it, because a good barbecue don't need it. That's not true. Oh, I've had barbecue everywhere, and I understand the whole Texas rub thing, but man, a good Memphis or KC barbecue, man, with a candy like sauce on it, that is awesome. When you're doing like ribs, you should all make a channel called The Den of Pew Pews. I'm probably gonna put more of it over on the whatchamacallit, the Bears Den. I haven't posted over there in a while. Probably gonna start adding content over there. The Neil says I don't care for the M12 rotary, but love the grinder. Mark says whenever I buy new stuff, I have these boating accidents. I know, it's terrible. It's just terrible. Mike says recent project. I made a little plank to hold a stepper motor and its controller board. Found some cheap parts from a dealer in Florida. Interesting item. So different than... Oh, I love stepper motors. Stepper motors are all sorts of fun. And the great thing about them is running power, backwards through them and the way you can control them and stuff. But anyway, I can have all fun with stepper motors all day long. Tank says, picked up an Ender 3 V2 last night at Micro Center. Manager gave me the clearance price because of conflicting price tags on the shelf. There's a coupon to get the 3 Pro for $100. That is such a fantastic deal. Those ears.
What? What about my ears?
It's adorable. Also, you're still not on camera full screen. Oh, can you smell what the rock, or in this case the pellet grill, is cooking? Smoked sprouts, shrimp, asparagus, onions on the pellet grill, great with steak. Todd, is that Todd Christmas Clatter?
Yep. Hello.
James says rain today in Sacramento. Mark says, I gotta try the sprouts smoked. Oh.
That sounds awesome.
Neil says, I've been wanting to get a 3D printer as well. 3D printers are fun. They're just very time consuming. Lummox says, what's your overall opinion of the Hart versus Ryobi for the homeowner? Boy, it's a toss-up. Ryobi has a lot. Oh, look, my phone just looked. It just decided telling me that there's a thunderstorm going on 5 minutes after it started. So if it were me, my choice, I would go with Hart 9 times out of 10. And the reason being is, and I got to do a video on this because people always are like, well, Ryobi has more tools, a lot more tools. Yeah, but a lot of those tools are redundant. They've got 9 different weed eaters. They've got like 15 different blowers. They've got a lot of their tools are like, they just have multiple versions of it. They have a brushed, they have a brushless, they have a semi-brushed, brushless. It's just ridiculous how many of the tools are just essentially repeats. They're not bad tools. They're just, it really isn't all that big a line compared to a lot of the other stuff that's out there. I do think they have better tools than Hart does. So if you're looking for the top end stuff out there, if you're looking for the high end brushless stuff, the HP line from Ryobi is going to beat it. But Hart has brushless stuff as well. I like the battery platform better, and I like the fact that I can get it at any Walmart. And the reason for that is there's more Walmarts than there are Home Depots, and I can get other stuff while I'm at Walmart. And on top of that, we travel a lot, and we have an RV. And so what I keep, power tools I keep in the RV are Hart, because if I need a battery or I need a tool or I need to drop out and get a replacement, I can always go to Walmart. Half the time we're staying in the parking lot.
Yeah.
At least for now, that's probably going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube, I can't believe they let you get away with that name. Says, I was thinking of starting woodworking after school just for fun as a hobby and as a side business. Any advice? Small stuff. If you're looking to make money, look at doing small stuff. Find out about farmers markets and stuff like that. But yeah, like coasters and stuff. It used to be like cutting boards were the big thing.
Charcuterie boards.
Charcuterie boards, coasters, little knick-knack kind of stuff, ornaments. Yeah, Christmas and Halloween.
Well,
you got
and
all the
that's
holidays
other
coming
thing
up.
is if you're going to do this, my advice would be to forecast enough ahead of time, enough so that you have product to sell.
Yep, and batching. You got to figure out how to do batches. Don't make one
if
item.
If we disappear, it's because the power went out.
Yeah. Don't make one item. Make 20 of them at a time. You
will thank yourself.
Yeah, it's not as much fun, but you get more items done in a shorter amount of time because you have all the same tooling set up and everything. You don't have to constantly be switching from this to this to this. Mark says Ryobi seems to be picking up their game a bit. Yeah, they're definitely aiming for the value-minded pro over there with the HP tools, and they're getting it. They're getting a lot of people who are, either getting into the trades or they're on a budget, or they just don't like. Some people just don't like spending a lot of money on tools, even though that's their job is to make money with tools. The tank says Hart is Ryobi and TT's parts / Ben model. Here's the other thing. The other thing to say that's positive about Ryobi is Direct Tools, which is the factory outlet center for TTI, and you practically never see Milwaukee there. I can't believe I've ever seen Hart there. Every once in a while you see Rigid on there, but you see Hart or Ryobi stuff getting just clearanced all the time for dirt cheap. Greg says the weather on the iPhone is from the Weather Channel. Well, the Weather Channel sucks then.
Yep. Considering that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Michael says about 3D printers, the issue is less about technology and more about creativity. What do you want to make? I print almost nothing from the web, most of my own design. The problem with that, though, is then you have to know how to do 3D modeling. And that's a huge skill set to understand how to do that in a computer system. So unless you are prepared to learn that kind of stuff, then all you're going to be doing is downloading stuff off of Thingiverse and printing. Wings and Pieces says, Jeff, what was your most and least favorite part of being in leadership role in Silicon Valley? Not making enough money to live in Silicon Valley. My most favorite part was being part of something that was, and not just my company, but the community of really intelligent people who are making new and exciting things. And just hanging around with smart people elevates you, makes you smarter, and you feel like you are part of something really important that was thriving and exciting and pushing boundaries and stuff like that. The downside of it is living and dealing. Honestly, as running a business, the government, dealing with government, anything having to do with local, city, local, state, I hated all of that. And herding rats or herding cats or cats, rats, same thing. Programmers are prima donnas, I'm just going to say. Yes?
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Okay. Jeff Stove says, there is a restaurant by me that serves roasted BS with garlic and lemon.
Sounds delicious.
Okay. Armored Animal says, hey, it's good to see you. And Lewis says, hello, guys.
Hello.
Michael says, the other issue with 3D printers is software. I'm so broke I can't afford to pay rent for software I can't own. The online stuff means I have to share ideas with who knows who. Yeah, well, there's that. Have you reviewed the Blackstone grills? I have not. We've been talking about grill stuff. She just told me I'm not big into cooking on flat top grills. Not my thing. She's interested in doing that, but I think that's gonna have to wait until next spring before we get around to doing that. Michael says electrical plasma can be so much fun. Several million volts and 10,000 amperes. Yeppers, the big flash.
Yep.
Appalachian X works in the house. We have 2 M12 rotary tools. We use them all the time. I have several die grinders and almost never use them. Well, there you go. There's the people who are doing restoration on vintage axes and tools and stuff like that. So they would be in the know. Yep. Lewis says, hello, guys. Michael says, 3D modeling. Correct. Learned that the hard way when I was helping make electronics weaponry so many years ago. Bullwinkle says, just received the wood grill cleaner. Yes, that thing is, you know what? I like using it better anyway. Especially after you get it broken in. Because you want to do it while the grill's still hot. And it burns, the grooves in. And now it's custom made directly for your grill. Mm-hmm. Anyway. And Wings of Pizza says, I agree. Programmers are prima donnas. Yes. Yes, they are. Let me give you an example of one of the stupidest conflicts we ever had at my business.
I know which one this is.
Yeah. Coffee maker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we had, and this was...
Wait. We just have to set the stage. So there's really important things you need to be working on at work.
Yes.
Like your job.
Or getting paid so I can turn around and pay them.
Right. Okay, go back to your story.
Yeah. Not me getting paid, getting the company paid. Yeah. So I'm making the rounds at work. And one of the things we have to deal with quite often is random safety checks by the fire department. They just show up and walk through and write you up for all sorts of weird stuff. And then they're like, okay, you got to get this fixed and we'll be back in 2 to 3 weeks, whenever. And if it's not fixed, then we actually fine you and shut down the company and yada, yada, yada. All right, great. And I've been dealing with that for years. Never a big deal. I mean, we're an office. Yeah, we got to watch the extension cords, people doing stuff like that, but usually not a big deal. I'm walking through the office, and I look over, and one of the programmers has got an electric teapot on the floor, on the carpet, cooking. This is low pile, straight up polyester flooring. Okay? And I'm like, whoa. You can't cook at your desk. He's like, well, it's a teapot. And he's Asian, so he drinks tea. He loves his.
I have to go get children.
Okay, go get children. And
carry on with your story.
Yep. I would say at this point, not quite half, maybe a third of our workforce is either freshly immigrated or first generation Asian Americans. I think mostly Taiwanese. I'm trying to think if we had any Korean. Not in the programming department. We had some artists and we had some office staff that were Korean, but he just got really frustrated, really upset. He was one of our top programmers. And I'm like, and he's trying to argue with me. I'm like, it's a non-starter. If the fire department walks through here, they won't just write us up. They will shut us down for you having a heated implement under your desk on the carpet cooking. You could burn the entire place down. That's no. It can't happen. And he basically threatened to quit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. And we love having you here, but bye. Because you can't do something. I can't justify letting you do something no matter how good you are if the government's going to walk in and shut us down because of it. And finally, it comes out that his issue is that we've got a Keurig in And I think that's what I mentioned. I'm like, we got the Keurig in there, and we got all the little packets of coffee, and we got all the little packets of tea, and you can make all the stuff you want. We even got the little ones so you can put your own stuff in it, make your own tea, all that kind of stuff. And his issue, though, was that our chief programmer, who was Russian, and Yuri, if you happen to be watching it, love you, man. But he is like the epitome of what the Americans refer to as like the crazy Russian, just kind of like not goofball per se. He was very modest in his personage, but and a sweetheart of a guy. But he would just go off and do stuff. And in fact, he hadn't done well at other companies because he would just go off and blow through code and not tell anybody what he's doing. And they hated it. And the company, I talked to some of the companies he'd worked for before hiring him, and they were like, he's terrible. The whole staff wanted to fire him, yada, yada. We talked to him, we're like, this guy's smarter than your whole staff. That's the reason they hated him. And he didn't talk to him because they can't understand what he's saying. So we gave him his own office, and we'd throw things over the fence to him. We're like, here's a whole project, fix it. And it would take like a whole team 3 weeks. He would do in 3 days, and he'd come back, and there'd be no documentation, but it would work. And and so he was like a secret weapon, like a strike force to come in and fix things that nobody else could. And we couldn't lose him. But what he'd do is he would go in and he'd make coffee, and he'd make a huge mess, and he would leave the coffee maker with coffee all in it and over it and everything else. And for the other coffee drinkers, I mean, it was annoying, but they're drinking coffee, so it's not a problem. But for the tea drinkers, they would come in, they would make tea, and the tea would taste like coffee. So the dude who was about to quit, and I told him he had to stop, the fix was, I bought a second Keurig and put a label on it that said tea only. The other one said coffee only. And that's all it took. The dude just could have come to me from the beginning and said, he's ruining the coffee maker. Can we get a tea-only coffee maker? But that wasn't a solution. His solution was to go out, go to the store, buy a tea kettle, and try to burn the office down with it. Anyway, that was the kind of drama. That was life-threatening, the world's going to end drama for programmers. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get Sony to pay us, and I one time had to go and sit in the offices in Redwood City at Sony. And if you're working at Sony, you work at the office, you probably remember me, because I sat in that office and I glared at the receptionist for an hour. And finally, the CFO or something said, just write him a check. And they wrote us a check because they were all whispering and apparently thought I was going to do something terrible. I would never. But I let them think that. Anyway, let's get back to the comments. Wings and Pizza says, we talked about premiums. Mark Olson says, I like Weber kettles. Okay, this is another story I got. And this one's recent. In fact, just happened yesterday. I got a text message or through Instagram. Somebody sent me this thing like, hey, here's this great deal. Thought you should know about it. I just got a $200 and something, like the classic standard Weber grill, 22-inch. Orders it off of eBay for $90. Shows up at his house on a Lowe's truck. They bring it in. It's got the packing slip and the receipt, and it was apparently they charged $2 something plus delivery. So he basically got it for like $180 less than what it should have cost. He's like, that's a pretty good discount. And I'm like, brother, I got to tell you, that's probably credit card fraud. And I had explained to him, it's not his card that's getting worked over, is these people get a hold of a credit card number and they want to get cash. So what they do is they put up listings on eBay for items that should be fairly expensive for fairly cheap. People buy the item, and then they take the stolen credit card number and they order the item, have it sent to the people. Then eBay pays them when that person pays eBay. So that's the way they launder that money. Hopefully during that time nobody reports the car stolen or something, and that's how they take money out of eBay through credit card fraud. So he was all bummed about that. But anyway, just watch out if you're ordering off of eBay and it seems too good to be true, and like the seller has like no reviews. Like this seller had, I went and found the seller, 0 reviews, and it's clear this was what this was. Anyway, the Linux admins too. Linux admins are, I don't want to call them prima donnas. They're just completely smug. Uh, lots of egos in IT. Yeah, boy, and in IT, there's a whole lot of my IT DCK tool is bigger than your DCK tool, and um, it's really frustrating because people aren't worried about getting what's right; they're more worried about being right. Mike M says, "Howdy, y'all. I'm late. Hopefully, you got a hall pass." FD says Blackstone says smash burgers, fried steak, breakfast, maybe pleasantly surprised, love mine, shine on. I'm going to do a pizza this week. There's a local place in town that does really good take and bake pizzas, and for the kids, I'm going to do a take and bake pizza and throw it on the pellet grill and see what they say about that. Renegade's garage in the house. I got to move this over just a bit. Well, that's not what I meant to do. That was more. There we go. All right. Come back a little bit. I know. You're listening to me talk to myself. It's so much fun. Okay, there we go. Wings Pizza says, hi, totally relate to that story. Had a person ask me if the ducks within city limits were fair game. Oh my gosh. So, some of you who have been around the channel have heard this story before. So, Redwood City, which is like the top of where Silicon Valley actually starts and then goes down to like south of San Jose and stuff. So Redwood City is right on the San Francisco Bay. And out there is where Sun Microsystems used to be. Well, Sun Microsystems was on this kind of marshy area that's right next to the bay. And there's a wetlands area that kind of surrounds it. And that wetlands area was donated by an old family that owned all that land from way back in the day. They sold a bunch of it off, but they kept that land and they donated it to either the county or the state or something. And it became a park and it had trails and, people who wear, those expensive hiking sandals and stuff would go and with their walking stick and bird watch and stuff like that while wearing socks in wetlands. Anyway. Sun Microsystems moves and Facebook took that over. And that's where the headquarters for Facebook is to this day. And it was a big deal because all the execs wanted, all these offices were facing out over the wetlands and towards the bay. It was a beautiful view. But what I knew and none of them knew was that the people who donated the land, the husband was an avid duck hunter. And there was a condition that from November through February, that hiking would not be allowed and that would be opened to duck hunters. So all these people move in there and they get their corporate offices and they look out at people out there slaying ducks. It was awesome. Oh, and yes, I've been to those offices and I sat in a room and I was talking to a guy and he's like, do you know they have people with guns out there? I'm like, yeah, it's one of the best duck hunting places around here. Oh, anyway. Let's see here. Oscar Gonzalez says, nice knowing you. Let's see here. Crazy Russian hacker. Singapore's are Islanders. Asylum says, hello, Bear family. Mark says, only 3 times as many lines of convoluted code, though. And Renegade's Garage says, hey, Jeff, I'm almost at 1,500 subs. That is awesome. I'll tell you what, getting that first 1,000 is the hardest. And getting past that, it gets easier as you go along. Just keep doing the same thing. Always try to get better. The next milestone for me after 1,000 was 10,000. That's where I really wanted to get to. Before you know it, if you just keep doing it, keep slugging away, you're going to get there, man. Where's Mrs. Bear? She just had to run and pick up the cubs. They are at Awana's. So, my phone over here keeps flashing some sort of notification at me. This new iPhone 6 thing. What is it? Stop. Go away. Nobody likes you. Oh, anyway. It's the lightning on the animation coming up because I got this weather page thing. Michael says, I tend to fix things others can't or won't. Had some wild ones over the years. And Silence says, my car broke down after work Thursday. I need to replace the CV axle shafts. At least it wasn't the transmission. Yeah, that's true, but that is a pain. Although I have to do the ball joints pretty soon, probably next year, first half of the year, I'm going to have to do the ball joints. Yeah, it's on the truck, the big truck. Luckily, Harbor Freight just sent me those new impact wrenches. Bart says, I have some Makita tools I've gotten off eBay that come straight from Home Depot for less than half price. I figure it must be credit card or gift card fraud. Yeah. And William says, what do you think about the hitch-style cargo racks from Harbor Freight? I looked at them. They look decent. I've got a hitch-style bike rack I've used. And I know several people in the RV world who use those on the back of their trailers. The Harbor Freight one's kind of like the default one because it's a decent hitch. It's at a good price, and it's usually the kind of thing people need kind of last minute. Like, I've loaded everything up, yada yada, and yeah, I think they're fine. The Sam says, I just got the DeWalt 20-volt impact driver and drill driver. The impact driver struggles to get lug nuts and axle nuts loose, but it still did it. Got hot, had to let it cool. Oof. That, is the brushless one? Because I would think it could handle most of that stuff. Oh. Fred says, I'm here, but I'm cooking dinner. What are we doing? How about the Cardinals? What a game. Cardinals. I don't follow any. I would say I don't follow any professional sports. I did watch a couple of the highlights on YouTube. Like, they'll take a football game and they'll condense it down to just the plays that matter. And I did kind of watch through one game. Anyway. UFC, I'll watch UFC fights. And I think that's about it as far as pro sports. Well, some of the racing stuff. Like, me and the kids, we've been following a lot of NASCAR, a lot of off-road, a lot of rally racing, stuff like that. And of course, PBR and rodeo. It's funny because I never really think of that as being professional, but it totally is. It's the brushless DeWalt, and Salem says, wow, that's weird. I would have thought the new one's got rave reviews. I would have thought I had no problem with that. Arizona versus Las Vegas. Oh, okay. Fred Hill says tacos. Oh, tacos sound good. And DT says picked up 36-inch Hart tool cart and Pit Boss Lexington this week. Have a happy, safe, and successful hunting season. Thank you so much. You too as well. I was not able to find. I did get a deal on a Pit Boss. I was not able to find the Hart toolbox. There was one at one store, and they're like, well, that's our display model, so we can't sell that. I'm like, you're clearing out the item. It's not coming back, folks. But anyway, I got my Pit Boss, and I got it set up, and I got a cover for it. And I've taken the old one, we've cleaned it up some, rolled it to the edge of the yard, put its cover on it, and I've got it listed up on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So we'll see if it sells before when we leave. If not, we'll just throw it in storage and sell it in the spring. William says, my half-inch Ryobi does lugs just fine and motor mounts. Woof. And Frank says, I think Martha's Vineyard needs construction help to build public housing. No, I saw a post about this. So they sent them over, as I understand it, to a military base. Was it a military base or something? Because I'm like, and they're talking about all the goodwill and how the community's coming together. I'm like, the community came together to kick them out, to send them to a government installation. It's not the community coming together. Michael says, I bought a Lethelli 40-volt hedge clipper, tool only, on sale back in July. I already had Lynx 40. It works great for me so far. Yeah, as far as I can tell, they're pretty much the same thing. There's some slight differences on the internals, but as far as working, the batteries, they're interchangeable. All that stuff works great. The only issue, if anybody else is listening, and why I don't talk about Lithely more, is as a company they're fairly shady, and I've heard lots of negative feedback about customer service from them. Mater says, would you be willing to come on my stream tomorrow night and talk about the new Hercules and next gen Cobalt high torque impact wrench? I don't know if I can, dude. If I got a thing there, I'm helping somebody down in the valley. If I'm back by then, I will. Otherwise, I'm going to be down in Paradise Valley for most of the day. I got to get the deals of the week out as ASAP and then head down there. Would you be? Oh, I just read that one. Mr. Talking Den of Tools Bear. He's around. He's all over the place. They got voted off the island. Oh, that's harsh. They just need more surveillance cameras. Michael says, I need a battery-powered recip saw, Bauer or Hercules. I'm not interested in either battery. I'm not invested in either battery system. Well, what are you going to use it for is the first question. Do you need something that's going to be more robust, or do you want something that's more of a value? The Bauer is the DIYer, weekend warrior kind of level, kind of in the prosumer-esque kind of. It's that low to mid value kind of stuff, and it's great. And we have, so the way I've divided it is, at the house we use entirely Bauer products, except for outdoor power equipment like mowers, trimmers, and stuff like that. And for that we use Hart 40 volt. Because I think you have to step up to 40 volt or higher to do outdoor power equipment and really have a chance of being not getting frustrated by it. But for all our other stuff, it's all Bauer. And then for the quote unquote shop, which we're between shops, but when I'm in a shop, that's where I have all the professional top, higher tier stuff. We got some DeWalt, we got Flex 24, I got Milwaukee and the Hercules kind of stuff. Hercules is a good product and it's getting better, and they're coming out with more and more brushless kind of stuff. They've got great battery tech, but as I say, it's like me. Like I drive a Ram 3500, but if all you're going to do is go to the grocery store and back, and maybe go to work and back, you don't need a 3500. We tow a 38-foot long trailer with it. That's why we've got a big truck. If I was just going in the store and back all the time, I'd probably get like a Honda or something. So if you're just going to be doing light duty kind of stuff, get the Bauer. If you're going to be doing heavy duty stuff, get the Hercules. And honestly, my favorite recip is the Flex. The Flex by far has got, but that's a really expensive system to get into. If you don't have it already, when you do the ball joints on your Dodge, Harbor Freight has a ball joint press, but you'll have to get an adapter for it. The cups aren't too small in the basic kit. Well, honestly, we've got a CarQuest out here. I think it's CarQuest, and they loan you all that kind of stuff. So my guess, I was just going to go and borrow their tools, but I guess I'm supposed to review tools here, so I should probably go and buy their kit and do that, huh? The are too small. Okay. And Oscar says, any new updates on Craftsman tools from the Texas plant? No, and I don't think we're going to hear anything before November, probably. Not a Ridgeline. You know what? Here, I have hated on Ridgelines and given people hard time for Ridgelines for years. It's not a truck. It's not a real truck. And I still believe that. It's not a real truck. But if you need something that is truck-like, truck adjacent, if you would, and it's reliable, that's not a bad truck to get. Truck-ish thing to get. Truck-like vehicle. Truck-like object. And let me put it to you this way. I think it's been entered into the Baja 1000 4 or 5 times. And I don't believe, as of last time I checked, there was not a single time a Honda Ridgeline was entered in that race that it didn't podium. So, it's doing something right. It's ugly as hell. But I've honestly thought about getting one for just running around town, because firing up that big diesel to run down to the hardware store and back is a real waste and hard on the diesel, because you got to let those big diesels, you got to let them warm up and come to operating temp before you shut them back down, or you're going to build up soot and stuff like that. And I really want to get something smaller for just around town kind of stuff. And I might consider a Honda Ridgeline if the price was right. I'd really like a full-size Bronco, but those are next to impossible to get if they're not completely covered in rust. Oh, or how about an International Scout? So I had a buddy in town recently, and we went up to Bozeman and went to this custom hat maker up there. Old school dude. He's a year out on, if you order a hat today, you go in and get a hat. And he doesn't the straw hats like this. That's not his thing. He does the full beaver kind of stuff. And he's like, if you order it today, it's going to be a year before I can get it to you. I'm like, wow. So he's there talking, and it comes out that I've got a YouTube channel that I review tools. And so he looks up my channel on his phone. He's like, oh, you cover Harbor Freight stuff. And he grabs me and drags me into the back room. The whole back half of the shop is not hats. It's an automotive shop, because he builds and repairs his vintage International Scout. And that he's just completely passionate about that. I sounds like he's burned out on hats. But International Scouts, that is where his passion is right now. And it was cool. Everything in the shop, I turn around and I'm like, oh, we got 3 Harbor Freight floor jacks. That's a Harbor Freight chop saw. We got a couple Harbor Freight welders over there. That's Harbor Freight. That's Harbor Freight. He's like, wow, you know all the tools. I'm like, yeah, I've been following them for a while. So, how much do you pay for bison ribeye? Too much. $25, I think, for a ribeye. About thereabouts. Yeah, it's not cheap around here. We're just lucky we can get it, but it's not cheap. It's all good till it comes to your doorstep. Hypocrisy at its finest. I don't like to get in politics on that channel, but it is. I don't care where you stand. It is, whether you think it's playing politics or gamesmanship with people's lives, and which it is. But the reverse is true also. But the fact of the matter is, these people are saying there and they're voting for this stuff in their community. It's the issue I had when I lived in the Bay Area, and Berkeley has these signs up going, "You're now entering a nuclear-free zone." Oh, I'm going to have to leave my nukes at home now. Honey, turn around the truck. We got to go drop them off at home. Berkeley is nuclear-free. Nobody's bringing nukes to Berkeley. There was never an issue of there being nuclear anything in Berkeley. Although you've got a university that's teaching all the nuclear physics and all that fun stuff. Well, we can't talk about that. But no actual nukes in Berkeley, thank goodness. Martha's Vineyard saying that they're a sanctuary city. You don't have any immigrants. You got to take a ferry to get over here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the ferry most ferries cost money. Most homeless people and stuff like that, not going to pay to get on a ferry. I guess they could swim. Uno momento, por favor. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
I'm doing a live stream right now. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. It's Duncan. He says hi, everyone. Hello?
So, you called?
Yeah, I was just checking up on you, see how things are going.
Okay, doing pretty good.
All right. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Alright, love you.
Love you too. Bye. Sorry about that. Just calling the son, trying to coordinate stuff. Let's see here. Where was I? In all seriousness, Jeff, my father had bought a Ridgeline in 2007 and ran it to 2019. Never had one issue with it, other than the fact that it was hideously ugly. That my words, not his. But yeah, it's as I said, it's a truck-like vehicle. It's not a truck, but I think it's a Honda that has, I could go and get some sod and take it somewhere, or get some sheet goods, or throw some bikes in the back, or help somebody move some furniture, or pick up some stuff from the hardware store. I'm always using the truck for something. And so I got to have something that can carry You know, if I'm just going to use it around town. I love my Ram, but I'm trying to get something that I don't drive as much. The who says you have to ball joint press to give your opinions on the tool? You're already borrowing it. It will be in your temporary possession. So why not go ahead and review it? I mean, that's possible, but people always want to see like a new tool reviewed, because if I'm reviewing a tool that's a loaner from somebody, the issues I might have with it might be because 5,000 other people who didn't know what they were doing beat the crap out of that tool, and then it failed on me. So it's not really a fair review. Wagyu beef is on my bucket list. Mark, I've had Wagyu, and I think I know a lot of people who swear by Wagyu. Wagyu's the best. It's amazing. I think Wagyu is an overly fatty, crappy piece of meat. Excuse me. I hate Wagyu. I've had it on a number of occasions, and I've never liked it. I've had Wagyu steaks, and I've had Wagyu burgers, and I've had Wagyu. Not a fan of it. It is overly fatty and it may be because I'm more. Maybe you have to. I'm a Midwest palate. That's how I grew up. I grew up mostly in the Iowa and Nebraska area. I remember when I was working in Silicon Valley, I went to this high-end Japanese restaurant, hotel and restaurant. High-rise, like the Nikko Hotel, I think is what it was called. It was supposed to be like going to a Japanese hotel in Tokyo, but there in San Francisco. And I had the evening to myself. I'm like, I'm going to take myself out to dinner. We're going to go there, and we're going to, because they advertised that they were opening up this amazing Japanese-style steakhouse. And I'm like, I've never had a real Wagyu steak. This was 15 years ago. More than that, 20 years ago. And so I go there, and it's all the way at the top, and I go up to the top, and I get a table to myself, and I get a nice drink, and I'm looking at the menu, and I don't see specifically Wagyu on the menu. And I ask the waiter when he comes over, I'm like, do you serve Wagyu steak? He's like, no, you can't get, and at the time, apparently, he claimed you could not get Wagyu in the United States due to U.S. health code, blah, blah, blah. Sound like BS. Excuse to me. He's like, but I assure you, we have premium Omaha grade steaks. Dude, I went to high school in Omaha. I don't come all the way up here and pay top dollar to have an Omaha steak. I can go back to Omaha and get an Omaha steak. I can order it online to get an Omaha steak. I can go to the store and buy an Omaha steak. Anyway, I finally did get a Wagyu, and I've had it, as I said, I tried it 3 times now because I thought maybe it was just the place I got it. Nah, I think it's just a fatty piece of meat. And let's see here. By nuclear free, I think they mean no nuclear power. It says right on it was a ban, not on nuclear power, because they can't choose where their electricity is from. It was a ban on anything nuclear weapons, nuclear power plants, anything. No one's building a nuclear power plant in Berkeley, California. Hello. Oh, look, we have a new co-host. Have a seat.
No, we don't.
What do you mean? What you snarfing? Give me a bite.
No.
You
I'm gone.
eat it. I want to try one. I haven't tried one of these yet.
It's so much work today. So much. I don't think I'll ever recover.
Oh, you slacker. Anyway. Chrome Chaser says, how y'all doing today, people? Mark says, hi, Duncan. What?
Duncan?
Yeah, Duncan called. I was on the phone with him. Mark says, much like those Jeeps with the pickup vac. Pickup vac. El Camino. I love El Caminos. Not as much of a fan of the Ford. What's the Ford version? Well, I can't remember what they called it, but. And I'm not a Chevy guy, but there are some Chevys that I like, and El Camino is one of them. And I had a chance to buy one. My wife absolutely despises the El Camino. I'm gonna get one, lift it. Anyway, That's my problem with my knees these days. Regular like height cars. I'm like, oh, that's way down there. I don't want to get into that. You should start a rant channel. I'd watch that. I don't. What do I rant about? I don't know.
I do.
We'll just call it angry old man or moderately old man.
The first one suits you better.
Yeah, as the kids say, I'm about half a step from pulling my pants up above my belly button, sitting on the corner going, "Get off my yard!"
I don't say that. I say that he's an old man. And loving one.
No, you keep saying you're going to put me in a home.
Hey, if you deserve it.
What about a Tundra? Tundras are great. They're just wicked expensive. And if I could get one for dirt cheap for an around town thing, I would totally do that. Duncan wants a taco in the worst way. That's a Tacoma for those of you who aren't hip like the kids these days. Excuse me. And anyway, I mean they're great trucks. In fact, when I was doing construction, my boss, when I started doing construction, my boss had, I remember I was in love with it. He had this lifted 4x4, it wasn't lifted, I think it was factory. Toyota, I don't remember what it was, but essentially it was the compact, the Ranger-esque, it was the taco of the day. It wasn't like the T1000. Our neighbors have a T1000, and it hasn't tried to kill anybody so far. Movie jokes, if you get the reference. Anyway, and it's, but it was the one. So my boss had the one that had the extended cab, which is great because I was tall and I could put the seat back further, and like often I would have to drive the truck, go down to get hardware, lumber, and stuff. And I love driving that truck, stick shift and whole 9 yards. And man, I wanted one of those, but they're so expensive. And I drove back in the day. I drove a white Buick Skylark, not like the old school heavy metal thundering power Buick Skylark. I'm talking like the '80s, based off of what was that terrible car that GM made?
You're asking me a car question.
It's also the same thing as the Cadillac Cimarron.
Pay no attention.
It was wow. That is.
Mm-hmm.
You went out in public like that?
No, I just put it up because it's hot.
Anyway.
Ooh.
What?
Sorry. Finish your story.
I won't finish with that story. I'm just catching up with the comments.
Okay. If you guys have a Walmart near you, these are amazing. It's an attachment for a mason jar, and it turns it into like a shaker, like if you're going to make yourself a drink at home. But you can also drink out of it. They also have ones that screw on.
You're just drinking the margarita straight out of the bottle now?
Become flip tops. They're super awesome. Anyways, it's like 75 cents, and it makes your... Really?
She was over here nudging me. I thought, now she's scratching.
No, she wants you to rub her.
Come here, Belle. Come here. What is she doing?
Come here.
What's going on?
Oh, I think she's got a foxtail in her fur.
Oh, okay.
Come here.
Yeah. I thought she was rubbing on me because she wanted to get up.
Come here.
Let's see here. Let me see here. Love your channel. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Hold on. Let me make sure. I have to go back a little bit. Make sure that I've gotten everything. Jeeps. But reviewing a tool that's been used and abused is actually a true review of how the tool is going to hold up. Not actually, because you have to know how it was abused. You have to know what they did with it. If nobody really abused it and then it breaks for me, I could be like, oh, it was terribly abused, but was it? And then it could be somebody was really abusing it, and then it doesn't break for me, or it breaks where I'm using it, and then I don't know what really caused it. There's no scientific methodology there. There's no control, and you have to have control before you can give an honest review about something, because otherwise there's just so much randomness that could be happening. You don't really know what you're saying at that point.
Michael Bryant said some people equate price to superior quality. Ever
Yep.
hear of the coffee beans that come from some kind of coup? No.
Yes, the cat
It's
stuff.
civets.
Civet cats. Well, here's a great story. So back in the day, around Christmas, or like holiday season, I picked up a job working at Radio Shack, and was quickly promoted to assistant manager because apparently it's really hard to become assistant manager at Radio Shack. Anyway, they'd come out with what they called the Princess phone. It was the little streamlined, and it was when they were sort of putting circuit boards in everything. So it was super cheap and super easy. They got rid of all the heavy electronics and everything else, and the heavy ringers and stuff. So it had like a little circuit board and a little piezo tweeter, and it would do all the same stuff. But people would pick it up and go like, "There's nothing in it. It's broken or it's empty. It feels cheap," and nobody would buy it. So what they do? They put slugs of metal in it. They just glued metal slugs inside the phone. And people pick up the phone and be like, "Oh, this thing feels great. It's got a lot of heft, and it's expensive." How about the Glock? The Glock, when they were going to release the Glock, the pistol back in the day, it was supposed to come out at like dirt cheap, and their American marketing team was like, "No. People will think it's plastic. They'll associate cheap with plastic. We need to call it something different. We're going to call it." That's why they're called polymer pistols. They're plastic, but they didn't want to use the name plastic. They upped the price, and people started paying more for it. Again, and here's another example personally. We have a book that I sell through Amazon. It was, for a long time, it was the number one bestseller. In fact, it is currently, based on the numbers I looked at, the best-selling book of its series ever written. It's How to Make Moonshine. You can get it in the links down below. Anyway, the book, when I released it, I did it, and I'm like, it shouldn't cost that much. We're going to list it for like $3 or $4. She's like, "Oh, you need to double the price." And I'm like, no. And I listed it for like a year, and I had it like super cheap, and it sold okay. She's like, "You need to raise the price. People think it's cheap, means it's not going to be good." So I doubled the price just as a test. And our sales numbers went through the charts, just straight uphill, because, it's expensive. It must be good. I mean, it's not bad, but it's the case. If you raise the price, people think, it's obviously valuable.
Yep.
Anyway, let's see here. Perhaps the governor of Texas will purchase ferry tickets and send a load to Martha's Vineyard. Mater says, "Crystal and I went shopping at Lowe's today for stuff for my new toy. What's going on with them not carrying any Cobalt tools or toolboxes or tool carts? Only saw the workstations there." I think a lot of that stuff got replaced by Craftsman. They don't carry any of the tool chests, like the rolling cabinets and stuff from Cobalt anymore. It's all Craftsman. Also, he asked if I could do the live stream tomorrow night. And remember, we got that thing down in the valley. But just remind me, if we make it back in time, that I need to jump on there and do the live stream with him, okay?
Yeah.
Wayne says, "Wagyu beef is too rich. It hurts your gut. Bear is right. Way too fatty." Mark says, "Chuck steak is fatty but so full of flavor." Is the Bauer Weed Whacker okay? It is. It's a decent weed whacker. We have that one. And honestly, we got that one because the Hart 40 volt was too powerful for the kids. And it will actually, because we have a lot of gravel and rocks and stuff around here. We get a mixed aggregate kind of soil. And they were doing a little side business, going out and doing people's yards. And the 40 volt was they were getting pelted with rocks. So I got them the 20 volt in the Bauer, and they've used that. And it's great because it's got the little wheels on the side, so you can turn it on the side and edge the stuff as well. And they love that, and it works great for that. For smaller yards, it works fine. I wouldn't be doing knee-high grass in the back 40 with it, but for your average, American lawn, which is like a quarter acre, it's probably fine. The El Camino equals funeral flower car. The Ranchero. That's it, the Ranchero. Chris says, "I sold all my Ryobi and came a Milwaukee man." Oh, your poor wallet. Good tools. Michael Bryant says, "Ford Maverick. I had the Mercury Comet. I had a Mercury Comet in metallic green with the matching vinyl roof. That was a fun car. It had a straight 6 in it. And I like driving that car. That was a great car. Jeep Gladiator. I am not a fan of the Gladiator. I thought I was. I sat in one. I'm like, nope. Honestly, I don't like the feel of the new Jeeps. If I was going to get a Jeep, I'd get an older Jeep. One option would be a full frame Ranchero, 72 to 79. I picked up a 77. That'd been 460 swap for 1500. Needs love, but well worth it. Wings and Pizza says Angry Bear. And L. Mater says hi. She says hi back. Who doesn't love tacos? I know, right? And what year is your Ram? It's a 2014 3500 mega cab with the Cummins diesel. I was starting some drama on some mechanics channel on Facebook, and some dude was like, real men, no matter all these electric cars, real men will always drive 8 cylinders. 8 cylinders is the best engine ever. Blah, blah. I'm like, no, real men drive 6 cylinders. And, of course they're like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Cummins, 6 cylinders. David says, I love my 2020 TRD Taco Sport. Speaking of the TRD, I saw the new, what is it? The Forerunner in TRD, and it was all like color matched bumpers and everything else, and it looks like a Durango. And I'm sorry if it hurts people's feelings, but the new Forerunner looks like a Dodge Durango, which is not terrible. I like the Durango, but it doesn't look like a Forerunner. Kelly Nelson. Kelly, how you doing?
Hey, super miss you.
Love you all. Miss you. Say hi to Rick for us. Miss you both.
Give Miss Penny a hug
And
from us.
Miss Penny
and
as
Miss
well.
Bonnie.
That was a great picture she had. Did you see the one where Penny, I think she was like on a bridge or something?
Mm-hmm.
Penny's the little dog. Cute little dog. The Spectre Air says, it seems more people are getting into Metabo HPT. Do you think it will become a major player with DeWalt and Milwaukee at some point? Maybe. I mean, we cover them in Deals of the Week all the time. I talk about them. I always say they're a fantastic option. They have a lifetime warranty. Again, there's an asterisk on there. It's a different kind of lifetime. It's like at the lifetime of the tool run. As long as that company is making that tool, they will fix or replace your tool with it. All right. But that's a pretty good deal. That's better than like 1 or 2 years or 3 years and stuff like that. I mean, you got to like that, right? I don't know if they'll ever become competitive with Milwaukee because the same company owns Metabo, and Metabo is their version of Milwaukee and DeWalt. So I think it might become a major mid-level player and expand their line and stuff like that. But it's not going to go to the level where it's competing with Metabo. Great Grandpa's Woodworking says, I have a Delta 36-725 T2. I bought new 2 years ago, and I want a second saw. Which would you suggest? I buy another or the Rigid clone? They're exactly the same. I have the Rigid. I had the first gen of the Delta, the 36-75 725T, and then Rigid. Well, technically, the new Delta sent me the Rigid version, which is in storage because we don't have a shop right now. They're the same saw. They're exactly the same. And I think, and I've said this before, I've been very open about it, that is the best saw for the dollar that you can get without stepping up to like a cabinet saw. Yeah, without stepping up to a cabinet saw or finding, I mean, sure, you may luck out and find in your local, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, you might find a great deal, but I can't predict those. I can't suggest, oh, hey, go buy that saw. If you guys have questions about stuff like that, if you're looking at a tool and stuff, send me an email, and I'm always happy to respond if I got time to be like, yeah, that's a great one, or here's what you need to look out for that. I've bought and restored and flipped so many used big tools like that, bandsaws, table saws, bench tools, saber saws, jigsaw, stuff like that. I'm always happy to lend 2 cents in on that, whether something looks like it's a good deal or not. That said, without jumping up to $1,000, you're not going to find a better deal. Chevy Cavalier Mater chimes in. The Chevy Cavalier, the GM X car. And Asylum says hello to Mrs. Bear.
Hello.
Asylum says, if Masons work with stones, why are glasses called mason jars? Isn't that where you keep your masons? You put them in the jar? No?
To the internets.
To the internets. The Caddy Cimarron was based off the Cavalier. Yes. And I remember seeing that going, who's going to buy this thing? But then I see the new Caddy that's based off that little super tiny SUV, and people buy that stuff. And I'm like, it looks like a shoe. It looks like I should grab it, put it on the ground, roll it backwards, and then let go.
Apparently, mason jars were named after
Mason, the person who invented them.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. Well, you could have just.
Yeah, anyway, I've told you this before. Just listen to me. The classic.
Who are you?
Well, I don't know about that.
Why are we here?
I told her the other day I'm gonna have that put on her gravestone. Here lies Jesse King from blah da da the Dutch such and such year. Died of. Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Cavalier. I got to share my near death story about a Chevy Cavalier. So I'm in high school in Omaha, Nebraska, just outside a suburb of Omaha, Nebraska. It's over near Boys Town. The classic "He's not heavy, he's my brother" place. And hold on, come here.
Okay. We're insane.
Labrador break. Anyway, so my high school was just basically like catty corner from there almost. And not even almost, it was. And a little town called Millard. Oh my gosh. And okay, down you go. You're good. And so yeah, I went to Millard North Mustangs there. And I'd had my driver's permit in Iowa since I was 14 because you could get it in Iowa. And so I go there, and to get my permit there before I can get my license, Omaha or Nebraska said you had to get a driver's ed, which was not a thing in Iowa at the time. So I get signed up for driver's ed. Well, I'd been driving. Well, the kids here know it. If you want your kids to hear this story, but anyway, long time ago, kids, in ancient dinosaur times, I was driving since I was 7. And this is out in Iowa where you can't hit anybody else because there's no one else. And there's no trees. It's all corn. So we're totally safe. And I remember my grandfather even let me drive his Class A. Like, it was like on their farm. And he'd like, hey, move it from here to over there or something. Grandma was just, she was not happy that he let me do that. Anyway, so I'd been driving forever. And we got paired up. There were 3 of us that got put in the car for driver's ed. And it was me and this other guy that I'd met there. And he, like me, had been driving since he was a little kid. And then this young lady who had never driven a vehicle before in her life. Well, apparently, my friend, I don't remember his name, the driver's ed instructor was friends with his dad. So he knew he'd been driving. He talked to me for a bit, asked about my driving background, and I showed him my permit from Iowa. He's like, all right, here's what's going to happen. You two are not going to drive. Because we only get so many hours. I have to go through everybody else, and this girl needs all the help we can get. So you're just going to sit in the back seat and and be quiet. And we'll get through this, and I'll give you a passing grade. We're like, that kind of sucks, but all right. We understood. She needed the time, all right? We're on the highway, and she was, oh my gosh, she was so bad of a driver. But this Cavalier, floored. She had it floored, and going up the hills in Nebraska. The hills in Nebraska. That's like saying going through the desert in Hawaii, okay? The hills in Nebraska. Going up the hills, it would lose speed because it didn't have enough oomph. And we were going, and our slot was like first thing in the morning, like 5 o'clock or something like that. And there's always this fog coming off the fields and the windows in this thing because there's 4 people in here and it's like cold and fog. And the windows are getting all fogged over. The back window's completely fogged over. Me and my buddy are back there sniggering back and forth and being lunatics because no cell phones back then. And so we're just being idiots. And we hear this, and I look at him, he looks at me, we look at the back's completely fogged, and I take my knuckle and like this, and I wipe off a little circle in the fog on the back window, and all I can see is Peterbilt right here. And we both screamed like girls. Not that girls scream badly, mind you. It was just of that flavor, if you would. It was girl adjacent. Yeah, so anyway. And that's when the instructor made her pull over. And then she cried. And we cried. Me and him, we were holding each other because we almost died. It was terrifying.
You missed the whole story.
Anyway. All right. Enough of my story. Sorry. It's fun memories. All right, let's see here. Where are we? My taco is sparkly green. Oh, that's cool. I like the taco. I think just these days I'm just too big, old, and crotchety. I need my space. I couldn't do a small truck, but I could do a Tacoma all day long. I like the whatchamacallit, the Sequoias. That's a great truck right there. The Sequoia is a fantastic truck. And you know what? You can still get them for a reasonable price, and they'll do 250 to 500,000 miles with good maintenance. They're a solid vehicle. Steel Sky says, hello from Crystal, Mater's Workshop Girl. Hey! Oh, new name. Spectre Air says, do you think Rigid is making a comeback with new tools like the revamped subcompacts and new storage boxes? I don't know. They have, since I've been following, since I've been in the tools, they've gone through so many remakes. I give up anymore. I would not bet on Rigid until they've got 10 years under them. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. And on top of that, they have a major issue with the LSA, with them weaseling out of every service thing that they can. And until they address that, I mean, that's what got Milwaukee where it's going, is they made a good tool with great performance, and they stood behind it. And no matter what, they stood behind it for 5 years. And a lot of people, myself included, got into Rigid because of the LSA, and then Rigid would do something to screw somebody over, and they're like, I'm never buying from you ever again because you weaseled out of what you said you would do. Philip says, currently shopping for a 12-inch miter saw, would prefer a sliding option. Currently on the Milwaukee platform, what do you recommend? When you say you're on the Milwaukee platform, that makes me believe that you are saying that you need a cordless option. Is this true? If you don't need a cordless option, I would get the Hercules, honestly. There's just nothing out there that does as well at that price. If you've got the money to spend, then either get the Makita, or get the Bosch. I would put the Makita and the Bosch back and forth as the top line miter saw. If you want the best bang for the buck, get the Hercules. If you want something with a battery platform, then go with whatever battery platform you're already in. Mike says, I'm back. Was busy baking the fish I caught today on aisle 12 at the grocery store.
Yes, you can eat that.
And James says, yes, the Ford version of the El Camino is the Ranchero. Spectre Air says, I want to like the Craftsman chest, but they seem so cheap and flimsy compared to the U.S. General. I wanted a Craftsman chest since I was smaller than him. And I have 4 of them now, and they suck. Full stop. I use one of them as for my barbecue. Great for a barbecue side table. Terrible as a toolbox. It will slice your fingers open trying to move it.
Yeah.
Everything is put together with sheet metal screws. There's no bolts. It is cheap on cheap on cheap, and it's an absolute insult to the name Craftsman. Do you think I held back too much there?
I think that they might not know how you feel.
Okay. Do I need to look at this, or is this for later?
You can look at it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where we go?
Mark Olson wants to know what bait Mike
Yes.
Adams uses. I can
When
speak English.
fishing on aisle 12.
Yes.
Mark says, I had a Maverick with the 140 engine. Was fun to put in second gear and floor it from a stop. That auto trans would start in second gear. The real men drive whatever we damn well please. Thank you, Michael. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like people real men drive a stick. I like driving a stick, but if I lived in the city, There is no way on God's green earth that I would drive a stick in traffic. It is a pain. I just want to sit there and hate my life in peace. I don't have to deal with a clutch while hating my life. Asylum says, "Hello, Mrs. DeBear. I miss your head decorations." Oh,
I had it on earlier,
Where'd it
and when
go?
I put my hair up when I got back from picking the kiddos up, I left it in the kitchen.
Thinking of selling your truck? Not a chance. Nope. I love my truck. I'm gonna keep that truck until I die. And I've been upgrading parts and fixing it up and trying to make it. It is our solid. You know, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I put that thing in 4-wheel drive and drive through anything. I had a deer at 70 miles an hour, and my truck. The worst thing that happened was the dog had to lick some stuff off the bumper. She said it was delicious. That's why people were like, put that picture of a moose up. They're like, "Hey, you got that bumper on there?" I'm like, no. Deer at 70? Sure. Elk? No, thank you. Moose? You've lost your mind.
Yeah.
Have you people seen how big a moose is in person? They are absolutely prehistoric. An elk is stunning in person. A moose just makes your jaw hit the ground.
Yeah.
Let's see here, and we want to talk about bears. Oh my. Makita circular saw blades kick butt on Project Farm today. I watched the video with that, and he does a lot of great stuff. I saw a lot of issues with that video. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Makita. I'm a huge Makita fan. But to me, it looked like the spider blades for the money were like the absolute winner chicken dinner. They came through, just like nobody's business, and they cost half as much as everything else. That said, you really needed anyway. I'm not going to criticize him. He does a good job, but would love to see some reviews of Vim tools. And Asylum says, "I have a Cobalt. It's the car replacement for the Cavalier." Yes, I had a buddy who had a Cobalt, and he put it into a ditch, I think. The Crapalier. Yeah, it was kind of like that. Anthony says, "Do you think I'll get a chance to get a Makita 18-volt leaf blower deal this fall? I know there's a weed whacker combo going on in the spring, but I didn't pull the trigger." I think there will be a deal coming up. Whether it's in fall or waits until Black Friday is the issue, because really, right now is when the fall deals should be happening. But maybe after fall, you might be able to get one. Greg says, "I have a skill saw, table saw, looking for something to rip panels. Would you recommend the Ryobi track saw for that?" When you say panels, I take it you're talking like sheet goods, like 4x8s and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think track saws are fantastically underrated in the U.S. The rest of the world uses them and absolutely loves them. I would use a track saw or even a circ saw and a straight edge over a table saw for that kind of stuff. 6 days a week and twice on Sundays. Don't forget to tip your waiters. Frank says, "A professional truck driver doesn't wear flip-flops."
Yep.
That's right, they drive barefoot. Get it? Barefoot.
Yeah.
Andrew says, "The one person I know that owned a Cimarron, it caught on fire in a Kroger parking lot, which is what they're known for." Well, the fact of the matter is they were at a Kroger parking lot, so they clearly deserved it. Although you like Kroger's?
Yes.
Yeah, I like Albertsons. What can I say? Smith's is good, but they're technically Kroger's, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, well. Town and Country. No, I do like Albertsons. The person excuse me.
Mike Adams.
Take a shot now. What?
I thought you were reading the next.
Says he says I am, but he just didn't type it right, so it didn't highlight. Says, "Been enjoying your vids. First time see a live chat. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much." The Fieros. I had a buddy who just absolutely loved his Fiero and thought it was the best car in the entire world. I'm surprised he didn't kill himself in that thing. Instead, he went cliff jumping in a rock quarry and broke his neck, ended up in a halo for a year, and pretty much lives in pain since then. Mike says, for the newbies, yes, we sometimes talk about vehicles because they're tools too.
Yep.
Inevitably, we talk about tools about half as much on this and end up talking cars or food or booze or guns and what else? But not politics, because we don't talk about politics. We try to keep it civil. We're uncivilly civil. The deserts of Michigan. I told friends of ours that Michigan has sand dunes, and they didn't believe me. And then they were traveling. They sent us pictures from Michigan up on the sand dunes. They're like, these things are massive. I told you they were there. Oh, look at you with the hair down.
Yes, you can see my gray. It's kind of weird. I don't.
Accent piece.
Maybe I have it on both sides. Anyways, you can see it more on this side.
You're never more alive than when you're about to die.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So back when I was hold on, speaking of about to die, Griffin.
Yeah.
Bella feels that she is about to lay down and die because no one has fed her in forever.
Since this morning. And she lies a lot. Sometimes she gets like secondsies and thirdsies. So
she'll get fed by one person, and that person leaves. She'll go up to the next person and be like, "They didn't feed me at all. I'm starving. There's got to be food."
And she like points at a rib. She's like, "See, it's sticking out.
You can see it. Look."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's such a liar.
Our dog. She's smart.
I love her, but don't trust her.
It's mischievous.
Anyway, I was commuting back when I lived in San Francisco and was commuting down to the Silicon Valley area, down to, I think we were in Mountain View at the time. And and I don't remember the name of the highway. It's the one, not the 101, it's the one that runs through the mountains down the peninsula. Beautiful road. Absolutely beautiful road. But it's like, at the point where I'm at, it's like 5 or 6 lanes wide because there's a bunch of like lanes merging and other things. So it's really wide at that point. And you got cement barriers on either side. And this guy goes to pass somebody, and it just sprinkled just a little bit. And the people in San Francisco do not know how to drive in the rain. To them, it is absolute. We would have people call into work. I can't come in because it's raining. I'm like, are you the Wicked Witch of the West? Are you gonna melt? Are your flying monkeys not gonna help you come in? What's going on? They're like, I can't drive in this. It's rain, dude. Anyway. Woosah. Gotta find my center, my balance. Anyway, I'm driving down the road, and this guy tries to pass somebody else, and he loses it. Mm-hmm. And he basically does a pit maneuver on the car in front of him. Hits them. They try to accelerate out of the pit maneuver, and end up facing straight sideways, and they shoot straight at my car. I let off the gas. I didn't hit the brakes. I just let off the gas enough, and my car slowed down enough that they went right in front of me, nailed the car on the other side of me. Both of them went into the wall. The other car spun, came back right behind me, and took out every car on the road behind me.
Yep.
I was the only car that made it through it, and I just remember screaming in like joy because I was alive, because I thought I was dead, and I just somehow went through right in the middle of the maelstrom and came out through the other side, and everyone else was stopped. Oh, anyway, yeah, that'll make you feel like you're alive. The problem with Toyota trucks is the gas mileage. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's a truck. It's not going to get Honda Civic miles, but let's see, where'd we go? What's your opinion on the Icon tools at Harbor Freight? All right. I think they're excellent. I think that they are every bit as good as any of the other tool truck alternatives that are out there, and every bit as good as many of the tool truck brands. Now, I'm not saying every tool from Icon is as good as every tool from Snap-on or something like that, but there's definitely tools there that are as good as Snap-on in different instances. I mean, I'm not going to say their line wrenches are as good. Snap-on has tremendous line wrenches, great. But as far as the basic pliers, they're just as good. I think the ratchet is nearly within spitting distance as good for a quarter of the price. And in fact, that's honestly that's what I've been seeing is you can get a ratchet that is within a margin of error as good as the Snap-on, which sells for over 100, 130, 140, 150, depending on how well loved you are by your dealer, and you can get it for $30 to $40. There's just no reason to spend more than that for your basic, standard half-inch ratchet. As far as the sockets and stuff like that, they're great.
Bless.
I love the Icon ratcheting wrenches. That's my go-to. I use their pick set. I bought that one recently. The screwdrivers are okay. They're not my favorite style of screwdrivers. I know they're a clone of the Snap-on screwdrivers, but they're all right, I guess. As far as impacts, though, I don't use their impacts. I use Cobalt impacts. I have a huge set of Cobalt impacts. Actually, I take that back. I don't use those anymore. I gave those away. I gave those to Duncan, and I've got the Nico ones, and they're just as good. So, Tecton is the new Craftsman. Here's my issue with Tecton. They've stalled. They have great tools, great service, but they've just kind of like, okay, we're here. We've made this many tools. No more. We're done. And they're not innovating at all. And that, to me, is a problem. The Jeff Teeter says, I love my dad's Craftsman rollaway, and it's built like a Mack truck. Those old ones are fantastic. And Aaron says, when would you pull the trigger? When would you pull the trigger a drill? Looking to get my sister one for Christmas. Gift with the brush attachment kits. Okay. I would. Well, it's for Christmas. You can wait till Black Friday sale. So, I would definitely in the next probably sometime in October, late October to early November, there will be a sale. You can pick up a killer price on one, and get the brush set as well.
I would just remind folks to also make yourself familiar with what the price matching or price adjustment policies are.
Yeah.
Especially around this time of year. Like sometimes I see a great deal and I'm like, well, what if it goes lower in 2 weeks or 3 weeks when there's a sale? And a lot of times it's usually 30 days or sometimes it's 60 days. So that basically means if you buy the product and it goes on sale for cheaper within a specific time frame, you can just go back and get the difference. So that's what I'm just talking about.
Asylum says both my Chevy Cobalt and my Jeep Wrangler are manual transmission vehicles. I do live and work near Milwaukee, but my commute is mostly freeway, so it's not bad. See, I would love to have. First of all, I want to teach the kids how to drive a manual, and we go out to our buddy's ranch down in the valley, and he's got a little. I think it was a. It's not a Datsun. It's a Mazda. But it was made. It has the Ford brand on it. It's like the 70s. It's like the little tiny pickup truck, and the kids, and it's a stick, and the kids will drive that around the ranch, and that's how we're right now teaching them to drive stick. I just wish we had one here, so I could do it all the time. I really want to get a Ford Bronco. That's the one I want. So if you see one with a manual, let me know.
Yes, dear.
The Robert Adams. Do you want to read it?
We didn't go to Greece this year, and the flying half wanted a driving trip in Corpus, and she is sick on the first day.
Oh.
May head back home tomorrow. She says hi to Mrs. DeBear. Hi, Mrs. Adams. I am so sorry that you were not feeling well. That totally is how it has been for me. When we went to Canada, I felt pretty cruddy. And it kind of was a bummer. So I have been there, done that, and I am so sorry that you guys didn't make it to Greece this year. But when you go next year, I'm going with you. Congratulations.
In the luggage.
Yeah.
Mater says Crystal was looking at the Craftsman boxes for storing her yarn and said no way. I don't blame you. They are sharp. They've literally, I sliced my fingers up in a bunch on those things. Mm-hmm. Do you have the chats on here?
I do.
Okay.
I just put it down.
And Anyway, so she got lucky and she found a U.S. General.
Hiram Biffdom. Hello. Am I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says Tecton. No, Teton is beautiful and lovely because they do not size skip. Do you mean Tecton?
You mean Secton. The
Craftsman
Tetons are beautiful and lovely, though.
always skips sizes.
Who does?
Craftsman.
No.
So Hiram Biffdom, hello. Welcome to the chat. And thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Super
Thank
awesome.
you. U.S. General. Did I mention that they're coming out with, they've got there's the 5-drawer tool cart, and then they have the full stack tool cart that competes with Snap-on. That's coming out in gray, in case nobody told you. I got other news, but they will turn me into a rug if I tell you.
So we're not going to mention it, but just stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's also top of the second hour.
Yes, I know. Let me get caught up here. Bullwinkle ruined the perception of moose. I totally agree. Let's see here. Anthony says, thanks, Bear. Bullwinkle, speaking of moose, I really hate some of those YouTube tool videos when they have everything in high-end buildings, things, and that I can buy on the shelves. And then Fred says, I've got to get a root canal at the end of the month. Never had one. Scared to death of root canals. Now, crowns, I have 9 of them. Thank God VA will cover 100% and it won't cost me a dime. Well, that's good. And root canals, I've had a couple root canals, and my takeaway is they're just long and uncomfortable. They numb the snot out of you, and then you're just sitting there while they dig to China.
I always find I have them put like a dental, it's called a block. It looks kind of like a wedge that you would stick under a door. And it just fits right here so that you don't have to be holding your mouth open while they're doing whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
And you won't bite the dentist, which they appreciate.
I'll still bite the dentist. Behind the Eyes says, I just got a Pit Boss Memphis 2.0 from Walmart, $800 full price. Was listed on BrickSeek for $379. That's a nice grill. That is nice. Good find on that one. Mark says, stepped on flip top, blew out my flip flop. If you say so. I clearly don't get the reference. Sounds like a song. Greg says, my cousin had a Corsair, the drip engine while...
That dropped the engine?
Dropped the engine while driving? Ew. Lou says, good evening from SoCal. Greg says, we just read that. Behind the Eyes said, oh, geez, that just jumped on me. Sorry, the chat window moved. We went to the manager, seeing that it was the last one. Open box was torn and asked for the best deal. The manager said $280. We asked for $260, and they gave it to us. Nicely done. Awesome. Nicely done. Fred says, hit the like button. It's keto friendly. It is. It's also low carb and no trans fats.
That's right.
I went out with a girl who has a Fiero. She outlasted the vehicle. When is the best time to find Makita batteries on sale? Good luck. Really, the best deals you're going to get are when you buy one of those tools and they have an extra tool with it. Like get one of the saws that comes with 2, that takes 2 batteries, and it comes with 2, and then they add 2 more. That's probably your best deal right there. Behind that says, your info led us here. Thanks. Awesome. An $800 deal for $260 in perfect condition. You get a better deal than I did. I got my girl for $345, and I was pretty happy with that. $260. That's up in what we call a unicorn deal because they're so rare. Fred says Colorado has the Great National Sand Dunes Monument in the southwest of Colorado. Really, southwest? How have I never seen that? Well, I haven't been down there since I was a lot younger. Michael says, it's just me and Molly Beagle, Miss Molly Beagle. So it's not been fed, trick will not work here. The not been fed trick will not work. Tonight she got deluxe dinner with a can of green beans on top. Ooh, we should try that with the Bella Hound. Yeah. Mark says, Daddy said you're going to drive me into drinking if you don't stop driving the hot rod Lincoln. Yeah. Brabble Master says, I got in the Makita line, liking it so far, but they seem to never have sales compared to everyone else. Got it for the 36er demo saw. Amazing. Yeah, they hi, little bear.
Long day.
And he did hard work. He helped move a piano with some friends of ours today. He was working hard. Yeah, the Makita is a fantastic line of tools, but it's not even just the batteries that never go on sale. The tools rarely go on a real sale. They'll go like a little like 10% off or something. The big sales like you see on the other ones, you just never see with Makita. They'll have a few items that go on sale, and those items never really change. Whereas you look at something like Milwaukee, and they'll have tons of deals, and you have this deal, and you have this, and this comes free, and then you also get this, and then it's on sale, and it's got a 5-year warranty. I'm fan bearer of Makita from back in the day when I started doing construction. My first power tool was a corded Milwaukee Sawzall. My second tool was a used Makita circ saw that I absolutely loved. And I replaced the cord on it like 3 times. It got used so much. And then my first cordless was the little Makita drill with the long battery and stuff. I love Makita, but yeah, it's hard to justify with some of the other tools that are out there for the price. The Indiana has dunes. I've been to the Indiana dunes up there. You know what? You'd be surprised how many states have dunes. There's a small area that has dunes in the northeast here in Montana. Utah has got pink sand dunes, like
Very cool.
pink. They're not sandy. They're more like a silica dust. They're weird, incredible. Mark says the basic ratchet you buy today is miles above the basic ratchet from 30 years ago. I usually have it at my desk. I don't know where. I've got an SK ratchet that has got to be 50 years old, and I love it. But it's not a joy to use compared to any of the bargain ratchets that I get today. Fred says, at least you don't have to pay $600 a wrench with Snap-on. And Fred says, so what do you think of Hart compared to Bauer? I will say I like the Bauer tools design better. They feel smaller. Then the hard stuff feels huge, the drill and everything else. I would say that the Bauer tools are a step above Hart. They're also a step above the basic Ryobi. They're not as good as the Ryobi HP, but they're better than the basic Ryobi. That's really, we're cutting fine hairs there when we start talking about the entry level kind of tools and then dividing those up by categories. But that's the honest truth. The Mike says, if I had some cash to spare, I'd buy another second gen Monte Carlo. They weren't the powerhouses like the first gen, but the 76 had the Landa. My family had a maroon second gen Monte. Had the seats that swiveled so rather than tilting forward to get in and out of the back. I know, because I was a little kid and I rode in the back. And it had the half vinyl roof, and that thing was, man, it was a beautiful car. Terrible. Had this in Iowa, in the Iowa snow. Just absolutely terrible in that snow. Beautiful car. And we eventually got the 80s, the compact version of it. It was a good looking car, honestly. A lot of people give it a lot of grief, but I thought it was decent looking. And that one's become kind of a classic these days. Frank says, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Jeff Teeter says, and when she lets her hair down, yeah, that's my thing. I love her with. She used to have longer hair back when she really loved me, but
Yeah, I know you guys are all with your violins over there.
of course I wasn't the one who had to wash and dry it all the time. So me. Simon says my grandfather had a Ford Bronco when I was a kid. My biological father had a Ford Bronco when I was a kid. I remember him taking me out into the deserts of Arizona and camping and stuff and cooking out there and that thing. And it just seemed so big and so huge, and it would take you to all these cool places. I just love those. Fred says, I believe the manual transmission is now less than 20% coming off the lines. Oh, it's got to be less than that. Like you can't, even in the big trucks, you can't find a Ram. I don't know, Ford, but you can't find a Ram these days that comes with a manual. They still sell one. They still make one and sell one, I think, in Mexico, but not in the States. The Behind the Eyes says the Pit Boss deals are insane right now. Your leads got me out to Walmart after having all my teeth removed and feeling like garbage, going full implants. I might have to do that myself. You know what it was? Is I got my wisdom teeth removed when I was 18, and all my teeth started floating back and leaving these gaps between my teeth that food would get impacted in, and I'd get cavities up under the tooth. And I'm like, you can brush and floss all day, but you're not going to get inside your gums to dig stuff out. Tecton tweaks their tools based on customer requests. They do listen to you guys. They really do. I just would like to see more response and innovation in a broader line. Anyway, it's hard when I see all these, as somebody who covers the industry, I got to have news to talk about. All right. So all these other companies are coming out with new stuff, and I can talk about it. And then I can look at Tecton like, hey, I want to cover Tecton. Nothing new. Tecton still has a ratchet. I mean, that's not a video anyone's going to watch. Tom says, where'd he goes? Says, question about the DeWalt drill. It has the numbers 1 to 13 for the torque. A drill picture for drills. What's the hammer picture mean? Hammer mode? I would imagine is what it means. My US Generac reamer is soft steel. I go to my old USA Craftsman. The old USA Craftsman is fantastic stuff. You'll feel better after the root canal. You will. You really will. The next day might not be the most pleasant, but a week later you're going to be feeling dandy. Yeah. Aaron says, check out your local Home Depot 27-gallon Husky air compressor for $124. That sounds pretty awesome. And Zoe from Olight just commented, by the way. Griff, can you hand me that? So they have a big Olight deal coming up. I think it's on the 20th. We're going to cover it in Deals of the Week tomorrow, but that would be Tuesday. They told me about this thing. I already showed the pocket knife. And do you still have that here? Can you get that out so I can show them again for the people who weren't here early on? They finally sent me one of their knives, and I kind of collect knives. I'm not a serious collector. It just kind of happens. Same with hats. I kind of collect hats, but I don't really think about it. I am collecting now, though. People ask, like, are you collecting license plates? I don't collect license plates, but I've started collecting belt buckles, mostly Western style, like this, like rodeo style, that kind of stuff. If you've got any leads on any cool belt buckles, let me know. But that's it. So Olight, this is the new O knife that they have, and if you can see, this is actually, that is a copper color on there. It's almost like a rose gold kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like a rose gold.
And it's a flipper, and this is my favorite style of knife. I love the flipper style. Okay, I absolutely love it, but I don't love this knife. I'm sorry. It even has the jimping on there. It's nice. I love everything about it, other than the fact it weighs a ton. It weighs a ton. I like a lighter one. I'm a big fan of like the G10 style material kind of stuff on there. This is a front flipper, and it's weird the way you got to do it like that, and it feels dangerous. It probably is dangerous, but this is the one I use all the time. I even use it when I cook and stuff like that. That's what I carry with me. I wanted to like the Olight knife, the O knife. She's stealing it from me. But the one thing they said, well, we want to send you a work light, and I'm like, no, I don't want to see your work. I like the rest of your lights. I got one right here on the desk that I'm using to help light our faces here. Yeah. The little mini lantern looking thing. I love Olights. We got the little space dude here. That's really the ball light like that. These things are fantastic. They're magnetic. You can stick them on all sorts of stuff. We use them. Family uses them all the time. But I said, no, I don't want the work light. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being an obstinate fool. Send me the work light. I was being an obstinate fool because this thing is wicked cool. And I'm going to do a whole video on this, but just to show you. There, I guess I should put it so that the name is up You got to do this kind of stuff right. But anyway, it's a giant LED panel, and it's made, the whole thing is out of glass polymer, aka plastic. It feels like a high quality power tool. It really does. And you hear that ratcheting there? So you can get it in this nice big beefy handle on it. You can move it around and stuff. It's got nice big beefy controls on it. If you're using it in the cold, you got gloves on, you can use them.
You can hang it. You can.
Yep, it's
sit it.
got, you want to put it on a stand. It's got your typical tripod bolt there. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. You can hang it from things. But also, and this is the cool part, on the back, there's this. This is a remote. So if you want to take it with you and have it set up somewhere and change the lighting, you can do all the lighting. You can change, and it has, I'll show it towards me. You might want to close your eyes.
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
She's light sensitive, this sort of thing. Ooh, look at that. We could do like haunted, Halloween stuff with this. But let me turn it down a little bit there. Let's get to there. And then I can change the heat of it. It doesn't seem to, let me go. There we go. Oh, that's spooky. So, and then he came in and said, "You owe back taxes." Whoa! Anyway. So you can do all this with the remote as well. You can change the heat, you can change everything else, and then when you're done with it, the light's off, little girl, you can stop your drum, and it goes right back in there, and it feels like there's a magnet. I don't know, I could be wrong about the magnet part of it. It feels like it, but it holds it super secure in there. And again, if you hear the positive detents on this thing, I love this. This thing is great. I've used it a ton since they sent it over.
So obviously it's mine now.
The only problem is, I think, is it's going to be wicked expensive compared to a lot of the stuff that we show here. And I don't know if people are going to want to spend that kind of money for it. But it is a quality piece of equipment. All right, moving on. Tecton, maybe supply chain. Maybe. Where did we go here? Talked about the Husky. Check the local Walmart. Hello from Pennsylvania.
Hello.
The bacon flavored. Bacon flavored? What? Bacon flavored what?
The like button.
Oh, it's a bacon flavored. That sounds awesome. The Barbecue 76 says, "Hello, Bears. I'm still smoking dinner on the pellet poper, but I knew I had to check in. Miss Bear, I heard you were coming on my way. On your last live stream, let me know the dates." Let's see here, what else? I'm selling my combo because I got the Laredo dedicated one. I never use the gas side anymore, so I'd rather have bigger space in the smoker side than having the reduced space. Let's see here. Fred says here in Colorado we'll be down in the 60s by Friday. They're saying it has already been snowing at the 1,400-foot pikes.
Yep.
So I'm guessing snow's around the corner. Well, I've been telling people I think snow's coming a little early, at least up here. We heard about the snow in Colorado, then we saw snow in Wyoming, and now there's snow on some of the peaks in the northern half of the state. Snow's coming. Winter's coming.
Hey, Jeff Toohey!
Jeff Toohey's in the house.
Says, "Howdy, Montana neighbors.
Hey!
Been a long time. Yay.
We've been
So
wondering
glad
about,
you're
worried.
okay.
We hadn't seen you or heard from him. We're worried maybe something had happened. Maybe got overrun by the Bos Angeles folks up there.
Angelinos. Yep.
Bos Angelinos, yes. Let's see here. Where was I? Burger MX says, "What do you suggest as in tools from Harbor Freight?" Dude, that's a huge
Depends
list.
on what you're
And it depends
looking
on what
to
you're
do.
looking for. I've got a ton of videos on them, but just off the top of my head, the Hercules miter saw is just like a no-brainer. For around the house, the Bauer cordless stuff is great. They got good trailer accessories. The air compressors, the Fortress, the silent air compressors are whisper quiet. That's just some ones off the top of my head, but go check I got a whole bunch of top 10 videos of this from Harbor Freight or that from Harbor Freight. The Predator generators, and the Icon stuff. Big fan of the Icon. There's a lot of it. Anyway.
Have a good night, Insulum.
All right. And can we drop links to our channel since it is top of the hour? Yes, Mater. I'm really sorry. I got carried away. Let's take a second to say thank you to everyone here who is a mod. That's everyone with the cobalt blue wrench behind their name. They help keep things going, remind me when I get off track, answer questions that I can't get to, get rid of trolls that jump into the channel. They do a lot of great work around here to help out. And a lot of them are creators in their own right. So if you are a mod and you want to put a link to your channel, put it in down below. And do me a favor. It's a great way to help it out. Go and check out one of their channels, and who knows, maybe you'll find some great new content that you just absolutely love. Obviously, not as much as what we have here, but we understand that there's other creators out there, and we like to support the creator community. Also, thank you to everyone who supports us with the super chats. You guys are fantastic, and especially also everyone who was a member of the Bears. As I don't know, we have a name for the membership stuff, but that's everyone you see with the little bear behind their name. That means they're a monthly member. And we have memberships starting, I think, at $1 going on up from there. If you want information, we don't talk about it a lot. There's a link down below or something. Anyway, thank you so much for supporting the channel each and every month. I love seeing you guys all here and love seeing the little bears behind your name. And the color of the bear designates how long you've been a member, and red is the top. So you see all these red bears here. They've been around a while. Let's see where we're going. I was watching a YouTube on Northern Canada, and I think I saw Blue.
He was there.
He's out and about. He's got to fatten up here for the season. Mike says, my first power tool was a mortar mixer. My dad assigned it to me as soon as I was big enough to lift the bags over my head. Aaron says, I had an 87 Monte Carlo SS Aero Coupe. Oh, I bet that was nice. Oh, excuse me. And let's see here. Fred says, I want a new truck, but I don't want new truck prices. I will not buy another new vehicle. No. I won't pay the average price on a new vehicle. Average these days is just under 50 grand. They are smoking crack rocks.
Yeah. And people are lining up to pay.
They got all sorts of great features, and I look at the new Ram, like the TRX Ram, and it's got like that giant LCD screen and all the whiz bang features, and it's practically a trophy truck you can drive on the highway. No, I'm not paying that ever again. If anything, we might buy vehicles for the kids, but we're gonna buy used vehicles, teach them to work on them, and fix them up. And if they want to buy something new, that's their stupid choice to make.
Not paying for.
No. Bullwinkle says, met a helicopter mechanic who works on military bases, and he has to have his toolbox inspected at the end of shift for missing tools. Rags are also checked in. I bet that's fun. When was the last Craftsman a great tool? It had to be in the 90s, I think, when Craftsman was still making stuff in the U.S. and they were decent tools. I will say up until when we were in Vegas, Craftsman still had, at least in the showroom, in the stores, when their stores were still open, they had nice toolboxes. Very nice toolboxes. And I wanted to buy one, and they're like, well, we don't have any in stock. I'm like, you've got dozens of them on the floor. All these different models, and not one of them was in stock because the credit was so poor they couldn't order from the manufacturer. And the manufacturers were making them pay in advance. Of course, they didn't have the money to pay in advance.
Hey, Sonic, I just saw your message. It says, hello, my friends. Been a long time. Much love. Hope y'all are doing well. Still got a place in Vegas, or did you ditch it? We have a place.
We ditched it.
Yeah.
We got an RV.
Yeah.
So when we go to Vegas, we go in the RV.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to be in Vegas next month.
Yep.
But no, I'm not going to have a house there. The Fred Hill says, I just remembered I have a U.S. belt buckle. I'll look to see if I still have it. If I do, if I seen it, I may have a few more. I'll check. Let me know, man.
Awesome.
Anybody else who has some belt buckles, email me, red@denatools.com. Beware, ATF is going door to door. Well, I've got cameras out around the house, so I know when not to answer. They're already calling for Arctic blast. The drink or actual cold? Apparently, many of the Taco Bells, get this, hold. I got some bad news, and I hope you're all sitting down. Many of the Taco Bells are out of Baja Blast right now. Supply chain issues. They're going to be getting them in soon. Don't riot or anything like that. I get it. We'll have it back soon, allegedly. I am beside. My head wants to explode. I cannot for my life, believe that all of a sudden we can't get stuff where it needs to go. This is total BS that's going on. I was at the store the other day and there were whole aisles that were empty. There's no way. We're well past the whole pandemic. We've caught up on all this other stuff, but they can't get food in the grocery store. They can't get stuff. No, I don't believe it for a minute. The tank says my local Walmart has the 36 top box for $169. Box is open, kind of damaged, but the toolbox itself is fine, undamaged. So they pull the trigger or look for the bottom box. If you got a bench or something else to put it on, I'd get it. That's a nice box for $169. Bauger says, thank you so much for love your channel. You have a good night. God bless you too. Hiram says, don't be like me and not get ready for winter, Red Bear. You'll end up needing VP fix-it fuel and lose a lot of money. Yep. And Fred says, I've been thinking about getting a welder. I know you said go MIG and 240. What should I go with? Honestly, Yes Welder, I think, has probably the best deals going on right now. We have a code, I think it's Den of Tools or Den of Tools 10. If you look at it in my videos with Yes, it'll knock another 10% off of it. But the Yes Welder MIG is for the average, just wants to learn or just like occasional welding kind of stuff, or even light duty professional grade kind of stuff. I know pros who I don't weld all the time. That's not my main business, but sometimes I need a welder. I know pros like that who use Yes Welders. Mike says, I have the Hercules cordless heat gun. I like it, but I was wondering if Herc might come out with a cordless hair dryers for the time you need more airflow. I've got the Bauer, don't I? I got the Bauer heat gun. They're essentially the same thing. What's up, little girl? What are you making me for dinner?
Nothing.
Nothing. I get nothing for dinner.
Diet.
That's harsh. Speaking of which, I just realized I'm starving. We need to wrap things up here. I like the little cordless things. They don't put out enough heat, really. Anyway, Baja Blast made in China. And where do you get the idea for the bear? That's a long story. Basically, when I started this, I had another job where I was a fairly high level person dealing with clients, and I didn't want my two worlds to intertwine. So I was going to do something, and I have a background. Way back in the day, I was in construction, and there's a whole thing that moved me from construction through semi-technology to technology. So I understood about animation and stuff like that. So I had to think I bet there's some way I could do something. My first thought was like Max Headroom, something like that. And then I thought, well, tools, it's got to be a bear. And then it was a bear smoking a cigar, the original one. I still have the cigar every so often. And then it came Red the Tool Bear. And of course, he is a greater North American tool bear, or the great North American tool bear. Can you believe Sears only has 26 stores left? I can't believe they have that many. Yeah. I'll be honest. When do you think they'll be gone? I think they might hang on for a couple of years. I don't know. Yeah. They're tenacious little buggers. I'm surprised they haven't been stomped flat as it is. If Taco Bell disappeared in my lower GI tract would celebrate. Yeah. There's times where I do eat Taco Bell and I regret it even before I've finished paying for the food. For the record, no, I don't use my heat gun as a hair dryer. Fred says good night. We gotta go. You all have a good night. Thanks for joining us here. Don't forget to check out all any of the mods or any of their channels, stuff like that. We love supporting the community here on YouTube, and there's lots of great opinions out there. They all can't be mine, So, it's good to get different sources and stuff like that. Thanks again to everyone who supports us with super chats, especially for the members with the little bear behind their name. Again, if you're interested, see information down below. But that said, we love you all, love this community, because that's what I always said it's all about, and that's what is I think the best part about this channel for us is the community here. So anyway, you all take care, God bless, and as always, shine on.